Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with 2019 College Bowl Pick of the Week. We have this week, we have a lot of games today, tomorrow, Monday. We have the playoff in there, and then next week, around New Year's Day, we have another 10 games. So this is a good week. As I stated, you can have the whole package. There's 25 college games for $1.25 instead of paying a couple hundred. The locks would be included in that. Or for $250, you could have all the college plus the NFL all the way through the Super Bowl. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and we'll have a Happy New Year. It's a great time of year. Relax and enjoy family and friends and football. Can't get any better than that. Well, I'm going to talk about the playoff. I'm going to give you both playoff games. I got LSU minus 12.5, 13 to Oklahoma. And I got Clemson minus 2.5 to Ohio State. Over/under in the Oklahoma game is 76 and Clemson 63. And I'm looking at this game, and here's what I see. Oklahoma. Well, let's go through the team first. Oklahoma scores 43 a game, gives up 24, except when they play Iowa State, Baylor, Texas, Kansas State. When they played those teams, they gave up over 40. Offensively, yeah, they score in the 40s, except for when they play Baylor and Kansas State. They got a lucky late touchdown on. So let's say they score in the 30s. LSU, they score 48 a game. They only give up 21. Now here's the difference. So Oklahoma, they throw for 304 yards. They run for 260. That's 564 a game. LSU throws for 390, runs for 170, and they get 560 yards a game. So total yards is the same. Oklahoma runs for more, but you know what? It's not with the running back, it's their quarterback. And Burrow throws for 40 yards more, 344. So as we break it down, you're thinking, well, maybe we'll go over. Oklahoma score in the 30, give up 50. But LSU only gives up 21 a game. Now, the Alabama game was an 80-point game. But Georgia wasn't. It was low scoring. Auburn was low scoring. Florida, I think, was in the 60s. Now, here's how I break down this game. So, Oklahoma, as I stated, Iowa State gives up 25. Oak State gives up 27. Baylor gives up 19. Kansas State gives up 21. That's the best defense they played, was Baylor at 19. Well, look who LSU played. They played Alabama, gives up 18. Auburn gives up 18. Florida gives up 14. Georgia gives up 12. And I don't think they played Kentucky or Missouri. So of the big shots they played, and they killed Texas. So against 4 teams that give up less than 20 points a game, they average 48 points a game. So I think that tells you quite a bit there. Let's go into the stats. Joe Burrow, 48 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, throws for 362 a game, 10-yard average. And he's played in all the big games. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Auburn. They kicked Georgia's ass in their championship game. Let's go to Oklahoma. Should have lost. They lost to Kansas State. Should have lost to Iowa State. They went for 2. Baylor had them big, and Baylor let them off the hook. So let's look at Jalen Hurts. He throws for 279 a game, 32 touchdowns, 7 picks. He throws for 71% of his passes, and they mostly go to this CD Lamb guy. LSU, he throws for 10 yards a game. His percentage is 78%. And he's throwing the ball for 10 yards an attempt. Throws for 78%. Ooh. All right, let's look at the numbers for 19. LSU 11-1 against the number. 5-0 is a road favorite. This game is a road game for both teams. Oklahoma has not been a road dog. Was only 6-6 against the number. 10-2 against. So here's Oklahoma 10-2 against the number. They gave up a lot of points. I think the best way to play this game is to take LSU and just I think they win by at least 30 points in this game. You put those kind of numbers up on Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Florida, 4 teams that didn't allow 20 points. And the only reason their averages are that high is they played LSU. Plus they go ahead and they beat Texas. LSU's an incredible offense, and they've got the best cornerback in the country. I think Dolph Pitt's his name. #1 corner, but I think he's a freshman, so I don't think he comes out yet. He'll take care of D.D. Lamb, the big wide receiver on Oklahoma. Be lucky to catch anything. I believe there was a game with Baylor. He didn't catch anything. They just blanketed him. This guy is going to blanket him. Jalen Hurts, they're going to put a spy on him. I don't see him running all over the place that he does. That's where they get all their points, is he runs back and he runs. And I don't know what coaches are thinking, that we're going to have a fast quarterback, and that's going to be our new offense. We're going to go back to pass, and our quarterback's going to run. And that's how we're going to win our games, is by my quarterback running all over the field. And it doesn't work. You win doing it LSU's way, New England's way. You don't win doing it this way, where the quarterback goes back to pass and runs. Okay, it's never worked. And I don't, unless it's been Oklahoma running a wishbone. That's a little different story. And there the quarterbacks all got banged up. You can't, first of all, LSU's got more speed than anybody they've played all year. They've got a lot more speed than Texas, Baylor. Iowa State is a very good defensive team. Kansas State, who really had them beat badly. They just got a lot of late touchdowns on Kansas State. But here we're laying 7.5 with LSU, or 7, 6.5. I saw one that was like a 12. Most of them are 13. So if you can grab it under 7, it's even better. Burrow's proven it. All right, he beats Alabama. Goes into the conference championship game against Georgia, who's got a hell of a lot better defense than Oklahoma, and just as good a quarterback. Jake Fromm is an excellent quarterback, and they just stoned him, and they shut him down, and still put up 35 on him. They beat Georgia 35-10. Georgia would beat Oklahoma with no problem. Florida would beat Oklahoma with no problem. And Alabama, if they had Tagliavaglia, would probably beat Oklahoma. But that would be a higher scoring game because Alabama doesn't have the secondary to handle it. But I just see Delpit taking away D.D. Lamb, C.D. Lamb, whatever. And as we saw in the Baylor games, when he got hurt or didn't do anything, they really struggled. That Baylor, the first Baylor game, Baylor had him 31-7 or 31-10. He didn't show up in the second half. They didn't score anymore. I don't see LSU having any problem scoring. I think LSU gets at least in the 50s in this game. And the question is, how much is Oklahoma? It's hard in a playoff game to lay 76, to go over 76, tease it down to 70. That's just so hard. In the 60s, yes, I would play it. 76 in this game. Because I think they're going to stifle Oklahoma. I don't think Hurts is going to run all over them. LSU's too much speed. So he's going to try to run. He's not going to get anything. And that's the bulk of their offense. And then Delpa takes away Lamb, and then that's it. So I think it could be like 50-20, let's say. It'll probably get to the 70, but I'd rather bet LSU to win. Oklahoma should not be there. They're a very weak defensive team. And they just really, it's a gimmick offense where they just have a fast quarterback come in and throw the ball around. But it's not going to work against LSU. This defense, too many pros on it. Delpit, good pass rush, and they proved it. I mean, Alabama did light them for 41, but you know, LSU had them by 25 or 30 also there. LSU was never in doubt to win the game, let's say. So, yeah, Oklahoma might score a few late ones, but I think the over is probably, I don't know how you'd play it under, but it's just too many points. Take LSU minus 6.5, 7. They're just too good offensively. They've proven it time in and time off against these top SEC defenses. I mean, when you average 48 against the 5 defenses I named, man, what do you think they're going to do against Oklahoma, who does not have a good defense? Oof, it's gonna be LSU all the way. All right, second game. Clemson plays Ohio State. My first thought on it was I've got Clemson laying 3, and I've got play the dog. I think this is about as even of a game as there are in any game this year as far as in college. Probably even in pro. The Frisco-Seattle first game was probably pretty dead even. So you've got here Clemson. Let's break down the numbers. So we look at Clemson. They score 47 and give up 10. All right, not as LSU scores 48 but plays 5 stud teams, 5 stud defenses. Clemson's defense, the best one they would have played if they did was Miami, who gives up 21 a game. But I know they played Louisville 33, Virginia, the championship game gives up 27, Wake gives up 30, BC gives up 31. North Carolina, the game that almost lost, was 24. Florida State gives up 29. Syracuse gives up 30. I mean, the whole ACC is no defense, except for Miami, who gives up 20, but they stink for some reason. And Clemson. Let's look at Ohio State. At least they played teams. They score 49. They score more than Clemson and give up 12. Now, again, in Ohio State, they played Wisconsin twice, who gives up 16 a game, and they scored 35 on them both times. Penn State gives up 14. Michigan, who gives up 19, unless it's a big game, then they tend to give up more. They didn't play Iowa. Nebraska 27. Michigan State 22, but at the time they were much better. They didn't play Northwestern. So they played Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin twice. So that's 4 teams who give up less than 20, and they average 49. That sounds a lot like LSU, right? They're playing all these, you know. If Clemson played Wisconsin, they're not killing them like they killed, you know, Louisville or they killed Florida State. It's going to be a lot closer of a game. Basically, Clemson's two-dimensional. They have at the team the running back and Lawrence the quarterback. Now they put up 285 on the air, 256 on the ground, 542. Ohio State's 250 in the air, 280 on the ground with Dobbins, 534. So it's a very equal offensive game, except for Ohio State's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defenses that give up less than 20. Because I'm counting Michigan State, it's a 22, but I'm counting them probably more as a 20 when they played until they lost Joe Bocci, their All-American #1 draft pick linebacker, played in the Ohio State game. And that was competitive for a while. Ohio State just wears you out. But look at the quarterbacks. Let's see. So Ohio State, Justin Fields, 67% completion, 40 touchdowns, 1 pick, 227 a game, and his yards per attempt are 9.6. And I've never seen a guy throw more touchdowns that just look like he's lobbing the ball in the end zone, and the guy makes great catches. Great receivers here, great running back, great line, great defense. It's a great team. Let's look at Clemson. Trevor Lawrence. Now, he only averaged 68%, 9.4 yards per attempt, but he threw 34 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game. But look at the numbers. Clemson's Clemson. Clemson 11-1 this year. 5-1 is a road favorite. This is a road game. 1-5 against weak competition. Ohio State 11-2. 6-1 is a home favorite. 5-1 as a road favorite, not a road dog. Let's see, if I go back to 20, I'm not going to see Ohio State as a dog. Now, if I go back to 2016, they were a home dog once, probably to Michigan, which they killed them, and never as a road dog. I can look at 18-19, Clemson, 23-3, 11-2 is a road favorite. And Ohio State 20-6, 9-3 is a road favorite. But again, never a dog. Teams that are mostly favorite and never a dog take it personally. Let's look at the running backs. J.K. Dobbins, 1,657 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6.6 yards attempt. Again, they played Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State. Teams that are excellent stopping the run, and it really had little phase on them. Clemson, Travis Etienne, 12 games, 1,386 yards, 16 touchdowns against much weaker competition. So it all boils down to the competition, much like Alabama. As soon as they played a good team, what happened to them? I'm gonna revert back to a game that will, I think, edge this out. I think it'll clear it up. See, at Alabama this year, play nobody, and I bitched about it plenty on my videos. And what happens? They play LSU. LSU kills them. Then they play the only other good team on their schedule, Auburn. Auburn beats them. If you notice, they never played Georgia or Florida on the crossover. LSU played them both. Now, granted, they had Florida scheduled, but Georgia was the conference champ, which Alabama seems to not play in that game either. So you got Alabama playing nobody. They play a good team. They lose. But I'm going to revert back to the Florida State-Winston game against Auburn. Florida State was killing everybody by 40 points. If you look at my Twitter, I show a picture of my betting sheet. I went 11-11, 11-0, and a 10-0 on my betting sheet. My last game in was Florida State -1 because they had killed everybody, and here they were playing Auburn for the title, and it was the same thing. Oh, Florida State, they're gonna kill them. They really, I think they beat Clemson, but that Clemson wasn't really that good that year. They were just starting to get good. And they played Duke in the title game. So they go in undefeated, whipping everybody by 40 points. Great offense. Winston's a freshman. And here comes Auburn with that big SEC defense and offense, running all these trick plays, and Auburn jumps to the lead, and then Florida State somehow comes back, wins. I'm the happiest man alive as I make $5,000 on the late touchdown, which takes them from losing to winning by 3, and I'm laying 1 because I teased it from 7-1. The first line I saw 7. I said, "Oh my God, Auburn or Florida State -1. That's a W. They'll win by 20." The mistake I made is I didn't take Auburn plus 11 for about 3,500 of that to trap it, because then I would have trapped the game and made even more money. But I was very superstitious that year. I had about 30 tickets and I won them all, and I didn't open them and look at them. I knew I had Florida State many times in teasers, 2-team, 3-team, 10-team, 7-team, 11-team, because I always finished my teaser. So I bet all the pros that week with Michigan State, which was a lock, again in the Rose Bowl, and Florida State. And I said to myself, well, Florida State's all by itself. If I need to, I can trap it. But I had won every game, and it was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Florida State -1, spreads 11 down. Yeah, they're going to win. I'm not worried about it. And I basically had to turn the game off. I couldn't watch it because they were down like 17 points. I was dying. And then I finally turned it on at the end, and they scored the touchdown, and they win. And I was like, what an idiot. Like, you could have doubled your money by having Auburn in 11. I mean, Jesus. But that goes to my point here. Clemson's beaten nobody. Yes, Clemson won it all, beating a decent Alabama team who obviously doesn't have the defense. I don't know about over-under here, 63. Man, the way these two teams play defense, you can't count on getting there, but I don't want to play under. They tend to get going and score a lot. Like, this game will have a lot of scoring in it. But I think it's the last team with the ball wins. I don't know how you beat Ohio State with what they've done. Clemson, I haven't shown me anything this year. I know they lost a lot of good defensive linemen in the NFL last year's draft. All 4 of them went. I don't know how good they are this year. Again, it's misleading. They haven't played anybody. The best ACC team is Virginia. It ain't Florida State anymore, and it's not Miami, and it's not Virginia Tech. I mean, they're all lousy teams. They're average teams. Okay, they're all Minnesotas. What does that tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. But I know Ohio State is a dog, and teams like that really don't like to be dogs. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles when they beat New England in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. They do not like to be dogs. Not that the Eagles were all high and mighty, but if you ever made the 70 Steelers dogs, I guarantee you they win the game. I guarantee you when Oakland beat Miami in the game of hands, and they're saying, oh, that was the best game between the two best teams. You know what Pittsburgh said? No, we're the best team, and we're going to prove it. And they had a chip on their shoulder, and they went to Oakland and ripped Oakland the next week and then won the Super Bowl. Teams with this much talent and pride do not like to be the underdog. And that is going to be the psychological edge that we have taking Ohio State here. I love Ohio State getting 8. No, it's not a lock, but I've got them in a couple of teasers. Am I scared of Clemson? Not with Ohio State. I can see this game being very close. If Clemson were to win this game 42-0, I'd stop handicapping and stop betting. I wouldn't do it anymore. I mean, it can't happen. You're not going to shut down Ohio State. They're very balanced offensively. Fields was a little banged up, but he's had 3-4 weeks to get healed. He'll be healthy. He's got the little knee brace on. His hand got hurt, whatever. Shoulder. Unless somebody tweaks that, unless the quarterback goes out, I'm fully confident with Fields and Barrett and the running back and all that. Dobbins. And the backup, they have a good backup running back, and Olive, the receiver, and their secondary, and the defensive end. There's just it's too good a talent to get blown out in this game. It's too good of a talent to lay points with. And again, I can't compare Clemson to anybody but that Florida State team. And when it got to shove, Florida State had all they wanted against an average, it was a good Auburn team, but it wasn't, it wasn't like the LSU team this year or the Ohio State team. So, the picks take Ohio State plus 8.5. You can probably lean more towards the overs in these games, but you've got two great defenses in Ohio State and Clemson. And all I know is when I got 8 teams playing each other, a team that averages 40 a game and gives up 10, you got to throw the over-under out the window because you don't know which team you're getting. You don't know if you're going to get this really low-scoring game or this really high-scoring game. I would think you'd have probably a pretty high-scoring game, but against Wisconsin, they were, 38-10, 38-17. The Penn State game was a 50-point game. The Clemson game against nobody, North Carolina was a 40-point game. You have, when you have good, solid defenses, they will shut down offenses. That's all I can say. So I can't get excited about going over on a 63 with these two defenses, even though they have great offenses. So LSU, play LSU, give up the touchdown. That'll be high scoring because Oklahoma doesn't have a defense, but I'm curious how much scoring Oklahoma really does. That's why I like LSU, lay the points. And Clemson, Ohio State, you got to take the dog. Now, if there's a serious injury that happens in the next 2 days to a quarterback, then we'll talk. Somebody gets suspended, then we got to talk. Outside of that, I think the Clemson-Ohio State game is a great game. You take the points because either team can win it. I would not be surprised if Ohio State wins this game as the dog, nor would I be surprised if Clemson wins it, but I think it'll be within a touchdown. And then I think LSU and Ohio State is the championship game, only because Burrow went to Ohio State, transferred to LSU, and it'd be really poetic justice. They have Burrow against Ohio State in the title game. That's how I saw it a month ago. That was the game for the title, and I have no idea. I have to study that one. Depends on the point spread, but probably take the dog in that game too. So if LSU plays either of them, that's probably a dog in the final. But right now, my guess is that it's LSU, Ohio State. But in the Ohio State-Clemson game, just take the dog. If Ohio State were favored, I'd be on Clemson. But I tell you, I like betting Ohio State as the dog more than I'm more excited taking Ohio State in 8.5 than I would be taking Clemson in 8.5. I'll tell you that, because Clemson hasn't proven anything this year, and Ohio State has. Wisconsin's defense is very strong, as is Michigan State at the time, and Penn State's. Very strong defenses, and they just went through them like butter. So therefore, I just know Ohio State can put up 30 on them, 40 on them with really no problem. They've been behind to Wisconsin, which was the best thing they could do, and they fought back and won the game. They were down by 14 points and at half, and then they came on and won the game. So Ohio State knows they can come back. Clemson doesn't. Clemson hasn't had to do it. Last year they did, but not this year. But you can't look at last year. If you look at last year, you're betting Army and you're betting UCF all the time. And we both know what happened to them when I played them. That's last year's team, not this year's. So, in my mind, the balanced offense, best defense wins. Coaching, I don't know Todd Day too well, and Sweeney's a good coach. I definitely like that. Right now, I would say it's a toss-up. I guarantee you, Urban Meyer's in the year of Day. And Ohio State's Ohio State. A lot of class, a lot of pros. I'm sure sure they get paid well on both teams. So that's where we're at right now. Is take the Ohio State, take LSU, and enjoy the game. It'll be great games. www.teaserking.com. Again, I have 4 locks going this week. 2 pro, 2 college. I gave you the whole pro breakdown. Stick to the 1 seeds. Stick to the teams needing it. Careful of the teams resting. And college, I got a lock. It's not even any of the playoff teams are not the lock in my college lock this week. All right, everybody. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. www.teaserking.com.